Hello and welcome to What's Renew Yourself with Karma Cleansed Live. My name is Katja Rusanen and I will be your host. Today we will talk about grief and how to overcome a loss of a loved one. And I have Chelsea Hanson here with me. Chelsea is nationally recognized grief educator, author of 6 gift books, and founder of With Sympathy Gift and Keepsakes. And she's here to share her wisdom and compassion and give tools and tips how you can cope if you have lost a loved one or if you know somebody who has lost a loved one and want to be there to support them. So stay tuned. Welcome, Chelsea. It's so great to have you here today. How are you?
Oh, very good. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm excited to talk to your audience to give them some good information that will help them about grief.
Thank you. So could you tell us more about your work and more about what do you do as a grief educator?
Sure. And basically, I specialize in grief work, which means having the person who's stuck in grief or overwhelmed in grief release their painful feelings and process the grief. Because our end goal is to get the person to be whole and back to joy again. So there's a lot of different tools that I use to help people. And what I find is when someone loses someone, they're so overwhelmed, they're in shock, they don't know what to do, they don't know where to go for help. So oftentimes they'll get stuck in the grief or they won't have family and friends supporting them. So really, if someone feels overwhelmed and stuck, it's good to seek out a support person, someone who's traveled that road before them, an expert, to help them navigate and get some good tools and good support to get through it. Because oftentimes when you lose someone, if you've never been through that experience before, you can feel like you're going crazy, you don't know what to do. And really any life challenges, it's always helpful to seek out support to get you through to the other side.
Yeah. And because you mentioned there that somebody who traveled this road before, was there a special event in your life that led you to this path?
Oh, sure. Right, because why would someone want to work in grief support? Because it's kind of would seem like a sad area. But for me, when I was little, I had lost my father when I was 4, so before kindergarten. And then so I saw my mother grow up as a widow. And then later, when I was in my early 20s, actually a young adult, my mother passed away suddenly. And I never would have expected that because I already lost one parent. I would never expect to lose a second. So I kind of felt like an orphan, and that was about 20 years ago. So really, I've ended up making the study of grief my life's work because I had to work through it, and I was pretty miserable and didn't know what to do. And so now I try to educate people. That's where the grief educator comes in, that they can get support. There is tools. There's a lot of good information available for people to get them on the right path. Then also my husband, there was a lot of losses in his family. So that gave me another reason to gather all the tools and all the best information to help people. So we just unfortunately had a theme of loss in our family, but I'm healed from the grief, so now I'm able to help people. I don't feel sad and down because I was able to work through it. And a lot of people can. I know you think, oh, I can't, I'll never be the same. Granted, you won't be the same. You'll get back to a new normal, but you can be whole again and still live a joyous life in memory of your loved ones.
Thank you for sharing that, and I'm so sorry for the losses you needed to go through. But what a beautiful gift you are now giving to other people, that you are there to support them. And that actually was how we got to talking in as well during the lunch, like, because it combined like the losses I have been going through, and then hearing from you as well how you handle the grief and support people, because they say that time heals, but when I went through a loss, there was a moment when I did not believe in that.
Right.
Now I know it does, but in the beginning, when the grief felt overwhelming, it felt like, no, I'm never gonna be over this.
Sure.
This not. There is no way out from this grief. So,
Sure.
what would be your guidance or your message of hope for people who are just in the first stage of grief
Sure.
and everything feels like so overwhelming?
Sure. Yeah, and well, when you're in the beginning stage, I would say hold on to hope and possibility, because like you said, you don't feel it. Other people have been where you are very similar, and they do make their way through. And as far as with time, you'll feel better. It's also what you do with that time. So it really goes back to if you can get at least one support person to help you, whether a family member, a friend, someone, a professional. I think if you have at least one person to help you, someone you can talk to, someone you can express your real feelings to, because what happens in society, which I'm sure you've experienced, is people expect you to get back to normal in no time. When are you moving on? Aren't you over this yet? And that's very unrealistic. But people who haven't been through grief, they haven't learned otherwise, so they think it is realistic that you process your quietly on your own, not really harmful to you as a bereaved person. So you do need that support person, at least one person who understands. And that's why I like a professional too, because they can help you with all this misinformation. And one of the biggest pieces of misinformation is that people think grief will be over in a year. It is not. I've had many people think, oh, it's been a year. How come I'm not feeling better now? Sometimes the second year can even be worse, because the first year you're going through all the first birthday, the first anniversary, the first Christmas. So my best advice is that grief really doesn't have a timetable. Don't try to pin yourself into a certain timetable. And then people also refer to the 5 stages of grief from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. And her 5 stages of grief were meant for terminally ill people. They weren't meant for the bereaved person. So you as a grieving person should not be following the 5 stages of grief. That was meant for the dying patient. So unfortunately, in the late 60s, early 70s, her whole theory got misapplied. So people think, oh, I lost someone, I have to follow 5 stages of grief. And that wasn't her intention. It just, like I said, totally got misapplied. So I have people be like, well, I haven't been to the angry stage yet.
Yeah, like, why aren't I following the steps?
Right, yeah, so there aren't steps to follow. There aren't certain stages to follow. But one theory I think is very helpful that I can share with your audience, and that is from, well, let me just find my reference and I'll tell you. It's from J. William Worden. He's the person who came up with this theory, like a researcher educator. And this is the theory that I use with my clients, and I think it makes a lot more sense. And he said there's 4 tasks that the typical bereaved person will go through to reconcile grief. And the first is to accept the reality of loss. And that makes sense, because we do have to accept what happens gradually. Process the pain of grief, which is key, because we want to release that grief out of our body. And then to adjust to a world without the deceased, again, makes sense. We're adjusting to new responsibilities, new changes. But the 4th task, which he mentions, I think is key and is really missing in a lot of people's understanding, is to find an enduring connection with the deceased person while embarking on a new life. So you're going to continue the relationship with your person who died. And there's many ways to do that, whether talking to them every day. Like in my office, I have pictures of my loved ones, talking to their picture, doing the daily walk you used to take together, just tons of things, telling stories, because people want you to just like forget about the person who passed away. But how can you forget about a sibling or a parent or a spouse? So really the bereaved person over time, one of the major tasks is to keep that person in their life while still embarking on a new life.
Yeah.
And it could be like when someone loses a child, they have like an annual walk for the child or an annual golf outing. So there's all different kinds of ways to keep the person in your life, whether it's little mementos in your house or continuing traditions. So I think that's really important because that love continues. It's immortal. So you're just, redefining your relationship. And for me, when I finally figured that piece out, that was the healing that I needed. So that's what I work with people for. Like, how can we keep this relationship going in a new, different way?
That is so beautiful. And because sometimes we feel like we supposed to end the chapter, that person is gone. Yes, it's gone from the physical reality, but the bond is still there, and the love can stay there. It might change its shape, but it's still there. And that brings me to a big question that many people have, that are their loved ones okay when they cross over? Like, what do you believe happens after our soul leaves the body?
Sure. And well, science has proven that we continue on in a new form. So I believe that our loved ones are in the spiritual realm. They're just in a different form now. And I guess what really happened to me is once I learned that believed our loved ones are in this other realm, and I understood you could communicate with them, that made a huge difference to me as well. And I think it's hard for people to believe that if they haven't had it validated. Like, pretend you see the cardinal, or you see certain numbers, or you hear the certain song at a certain time, or you overhear a conversation. These are all ways spirit gets through to us. And I think once that can be validated for you, or once you believe it, that's a big healing part as well. And that's a way to keep your relationship going in a different way. Because, I talk to my parents and I get messages from them every day. But the first 10 years after my mom had passed away, I didn't get messages because I didn't understand, I didn't believe. So by working on my intuitive abilities with professionals, that helped me as well. So my belief is we do continue on, just in a different realm. And I think a lot of people believe that. They just sometimes don't want to admit it because they're afraid of the judgment or shame that will come. But most people I talk to in grief support, they do get these signs, and they're afraid to tell people because they'll think, oh, I think I'm crazy if I saw this sign. So you just need to support person, the right group, to share what's happening, that you are getting these signs, and to validate the experience, because other people get them too. It's just not always openly talked about depending what group.
So and I hear that. Like, I totally believe that we can still communicate. And for me, I also see them in dreams. They, like my parents, my loved ones who are the other side, they come into dreams saying hi. Like recently I was having a cold, so my mom came to look after me, which was so nice. Like in a dream, she was there, like taking care of me when I was not feeling well. So I was like, wow, the caring continues.
Yeah. Like you had, don't they sometimes kind of feel different? Like it feels more real or different than a typical dream? Like I can kind of sense a difference between a regular dream when I have like someone visiting me. Did your dreams seem different, or?
Yeah, there are some dreams, they are more vivid, they are more So I recognize that they are like people coming to visit. It's not like I'm repeating what happened during the day, because we
Oh,
also
sure,
like refresh our mind during the dream state. So we sometimes repeat what happened during the day, but these dreams, when I get visitors and or messages, I recognize them that they are very vivid and they have nothing to do normally what happened or has happened. So they are completely different.
yeah, yeah. Well, just probably 2 nights ago, I had a visit from my cat who passed away like almost, well, about 17, well, how many years ago? No, about 10 years ago. And I thought, this is so strange. I was actually petting my cat. It was so
Oh,
real. And I think it was, yeah, I think I was feeling a little lonely that day, and my cat always made me feel better. So yeah, they come like you start feeling good, and your mom came. Then I was feeling a little lonely, and oh, here's my cat I always used to pet. So yeah, so so yeah, I think it's awesome how this communication can continue. And I think once someone even opens up to the possibility, like the other day I had a client who was sad. Her husband passed away about 3.5 years ago, and she is ready to perhaps start dating,
mm.
but she felt a lot of guilt. So we decided just to ask her husband. The husband's name was Tony, for a sign to let her know that it was okay. And actually, while we were talking, the signs started coming through, just through the stuff she was saying. She's like, well, Tony would normally say this, and that was kind of giving her answers already. So that's another thing. When you're having a problem with something, you can just ask for guidance from the spiritual realm and just be open to the different ways it can come in, because we're very surprised by how this information can appear.
Yeah, because we receive messages different way, and they are wanting to communicate with us. So sometimes it's direct knowing, sometimes it's seeing something, hearing something, sensing something.
Yeah.
So we can use all our senses
Sure.
to receive messages. So it's just
Sure.
it might not come on certain way that you want to see the message. So it's opening up to
Yeah.
possibilities.
Absolutely. And even scent, like people will smell, like I'll smell my mother's perfume, or cigar smoke. People have reported they'll smell cigars, or like if grandma baked a certain thing, they'll smell that smell. But just for a few seconds is how I've experienced how all of a sudden the smell comes through. So it's really funny how that happens.
And
But
often,
I think too
and often then
when
sometimes
people
because our mind can sometimes then start like, oh no, that didn't happen, because it's such a glimpse, like the smell, and like then we are like, no, it was not real.
Right, but it is, because how could you? I mean, you actually just smelled something, so that is pretty amazing, I think. And two, like for people who are new to grief, just lost someone, I think their vibration is so low, they're so sad, they're so heavy, that I think it might be hard initially to receive any communication. But I think once someone starts to feel better and the vibration starts to raise a little, they can get communication easier. But I've also had cases where people I worked with who've had signs immediately too. So I shouldn't say that as a for sure thing. So I guess it does happen both ways. But just a warning, when you're just so down, sometimes it's harder to get that communication. It might occur later, or you might not be open to it yet.
Yeah, because it's like the heavy layer of grief is all over you, and it's really surrounding you. But if there would be a person who is experiencing that and very low energy, feeling the heaviness of the grief, would there be one thing that they could do to start uplifting their energy level and feeling a bit better while they are coping with the loss of their loved one? What would you say would be one step forward?
Well, one thing I would suggest is if you can do an activity you really enjoy, because you're kind of shaking up your energy, like if you like to bike ride or dance or create, because you're getting more into that playful spirit. You're getting more into that like state of flow where time goes away because you're so into what you're doing. So that would be one thing, to try to do an activity you enjoy. And then another thing is, which we're both familiar with, is the peace process, where you feel the feeling in your body, and then you just send it love to kind of start releasing the feeling out of your body. Because what happens is grief actually gets trapped in your body, and that's why your vibration is lower. So there are techniques to use to release that. And one of them is just focusing on the most intense spot in your body where you feel that grief, and just sending it love, feeling it, and releasing it. But it's just with grief, there's so many feelings. It's like you have to do the process a lot. That kind of helps in the near term, because feelings, have a beginning, middle, and end. So we have those ebbs and flows. So when you're having one of those horrible feelings, just know that it'll end, because you're going to ebb and flow in and out of those feelings. So.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing the peace process, because it's such a powerful tool to use.
Right, definitely.
So how can people get in touch with you if they want to work with you or find more about information or get support?
Sure. Probably the best way is just visiting my website, which is just chelseahanson.com. And Chelsea is CHELSEA, so chelseahanson.com. And all the contact information is there. And oftentimes I will consult with people for a short amount of time to see if grief support is helpful for them, or see how they're feeling about it. So yeah, I always do a free consultation to see if it's appropriate. So, but yeah, just chelseahanson.com. So.
Thank you. And I will put it on the description as well, so people can easily find your site as well.
Sure.
So thank you so much, Chelsea, for being here today and sharing your wisdom and kindness and all this beautiful, like the peace process that people can start coming back, like taking the steps forward and coming back towards the joy that it's there. And I know it's sometimes hard to remember or hard to believe that one day you can feel joyful again, but it is possible. I have been through that, and I know it can be done. It's the timeline, as you mentioned, everybody has their own timeline. For me it took a long time, but I was not having support. I wish I would have known you then. So
yeah, that's what happened to me. It took me a long time too, so I had to start investigating and learning stuff myself. So yeah, the process can be shortened when you have that right support. So yeah, I hear you.
So thank you so much for being here with us, Chelsea, today, and keep watching to Renew Yourself with Karma Cleanse Live. New episodes are coming. So thank you and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
Bye.